Fighters, welcome back to another weekly episode here at REI Freedom Podcast. We're so thankful for you guys continuing to listen to us each and every week. It's crazy how much this show is growing. The downloads grow more and more each and every week, and that's because of you guys for listening, and we thank you for that. And all we want to do in return is provide a lot of great value, and I think we're going to do that again today because we have a great guest, like we typically try to do. We try to bring in these great guests that can bring in great value. And this gentleman is going to do the same. His name is Robert McKinney McGee. He's out of Chicago, and he's doing work out of the Chicagoland. He's been a real estate investor for 9 years, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his story, what he's doing out in Indiana, and telling us a little bit about how he gets deals or has been getting deals over the past 9 years, and go from there. So should be a great episode. Can't wait to interview him. Robert, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So for our listeners who don't know who you are, can you please tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into real estate? Tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So my name is Robert again. I got into real estate about 9 years ago, and I got into it kind of accidentally. I had a cleaning business that kind of like evolved into, hey, can you guys paint? Can you guys strip and stain my floors? And it kind of like evolved over that. I stumbled across an investor that was looking to do a complete gut rehab, and I kind of took it on. I subcontracted out most of the work, and I just fell in love with the industry. From there, I evolved. I started doing fix and flips for myself. I went to Indiana, which was a market that I can afford out of my pocket. I purchased a few homes. I flipped them, and yeah, I've just been building from there.
You telling me it's hard to buy properties in Chicago out of pocket?
Well, out of my pocket, it was hard back then. Yeah, like
I know
properties.
Chicago was expensive.
Yeah, Chicago. It's getting more expensive too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flippers here, so yeah.
It's funny, prior to my real estate journey back in 2017, I come from the cleaning business as well.
Yes.
I sold commercial cleaning services to hotels and businesses, and I did that for most of my professional career, like 20 years of sales and operations all over the country. Even did some work with some restaurants and hotels in Chicago. That is a business that definitely teaches you a lot about customer service and operations.
Yeah.
You're not told very often how great of a job you're doing, but all the things you get to do wrong. And I feel like for me personally, it was a good transition for the off-market real estate space, as far as the sales goes and the customer service goes. How did you find the transition from that professional life into the real estate life for you?
Well, it was kind of easy for me. The piece that you're talking about selling, it was really, really difficult for me when I was in the cleaning industry space. I sold one good contract. I was doing the emergency cleaning for guitar centers in the Chicagoland area. So I sold that contract, and I accidentally sold it again, like on LinkedIn, through LinkedIn. So I got that contract, and I was just trying to get another one, trying to get another one. And when I met this investor that wanted me to rehab properties that he was in the process of purchasing, that was more easier. The work was coming to me versus me trying to find the work. So the transition into those spaces were virtually like a no-brainer.
So let's talk about that. Obviously we know you do. We'll talk about it shortly, but we talked offline that you have a big project that you're doing out in Indiana now.
Yeah.
But prior to this, you've done some wholesaling, you've done a lot of flipping, things like that. How you mentioned that some of these deals were coming to you. Did you have to go out and find any of these deals, or were they all brought to you?
With the rehab deals?
Yeah, like the flips and wholesales deals, for the previous 9 years. How were you going to get those deals?
Yeah, so a lot of my construction, my rehab projects were kind of word of mouth. The investment space, it sounds huge, but it's really small. One investor, we create networks in the business that we're in. So when we network and we find different individuals, so I was good at rehabbing properties here in the Chicagoland area. So that investor my name kind of like trickled around to saying, hey, Robert is not a general contractor. He doesn't actually do the work, but he has a great subcontracting team. The prices is just a little bit higher, but give him a try. I've been getting my work done the good over the years, so it was more or less like a word of mouth type of situation for those. Far as my own fix and flip journey, I just did that myself. I went out and I kind of mimicked the process in which I was being showed by the investors. I would find a property that I can buy cash and see how much, try to leverage my credit cards to rehab these properties. Of course, I had the network of general contractors already, just finding or getting them licensed in Indiana where I can afford the properties. That was more or less the struggle that I had. But yeah, a lot of my work was all of my work still till this day is pretty much word of mouth.
So the flips that you do for yourself, those are, you said you mimicked some people. Were you mimicking by like buying deals from wholesalers? Were you buying them on the MLS? Were you sending out postcards? How did that look like for you?
Yeah, so just like the general construction, I'm sorry, just like the investment space of real estate, it's the same with wholesaling, with people who has deals. So I got connected with actually someone from Zillow that was selling a property in Indiana, but they were also a wholesaler, so they had deals that was off market as well. So they were pretty much emailing me, presenting me with deals that was off market or deals that they were buying from the tax sales, and things like that. And that's how I purchased my properties from Indiana.
Awesome, awesome. Before we started recording this show, you told me about something really, really impressive, and it's a social media platform that you've
Yeah.
built. And you mentioned that you have over 50,000 followers, which is just absolutely incredible. Can you tell us a little bit more about that platform and how you grew it to be so large? I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah. So rent first of all, real estate for me is kind of like it's kind of like a big bucket of like things for me to just do within it. So I also got into the space of short-term rentals. I'm also a landlord because I own a few properties myself as well. So in the short-term rental aspect, I get a lot of customers that's just short-term rentals, and being a landlord, I get a lot of clients and customers that's just a headache. They come with these crazy no or crazy acts of their landlord to do for them, or just short-term rental guests that just don't want to leave, tear up your properties, have parties in them. And I'm like, man, somebody has to hear these conversations. Somebody has to, like, there has to be a market for, exactly like what's going on. Somebody wants to hear it. So I just started creating skit calls where I get on the phone with clients. It's staged, but I get on
Yeah.
the phone with these clients and we just go through scenarios of things that potentially has happened to me in the past, and it gets millions of views. So I get about 10 million views on a monthly basis on my platform.
It's incredible.
On top of that, I have about 40,000 followers on TikTok, and I have about 14,000 on Instagram right now.
Wow.
I get a lot of views on Facebook. 4,400 followers on Facebook, and I got like a few subscribers on Instagram. But the community is growing.
Yeah.
I just talk about things that really happen with landlords. No one wants to talk about the negative aspect of it, and I don't talk all negative on my
Yeah.
platform, but no one talks about the negative aspects of getting into real estate, especially for short-term rentals or being a landlord. So I kind of like share a little light on it. At the same time, um, I'm offering a space where the landlord or the short-term rental host is essentially right, because it's in our contracts, because you signed on the dotted line, because it's our property and it's not yours. So I kind of like, just created that space for us to view or look at.
Yeah, my wife and I, we own a short-term rental down in Florida, and we've had a few little things, but overall we've been pretty lucky. But
Yeah.
as we were learning and getting into like other Facebook groups and starting to hear horror stories of what to look out for, what to not to do. It
Yeah.
was pretty mind blowing, some of the stuff that happened to people out there. And then obviously her and I have been owning rentals for years now. So we have our fair share of, bad landlord stories to share. And I would love to share them with everybody
Yeah.
in this podcast, but then we'd be here for hours and hours and hours, and they'd probably
Exactly.
ruin the rest of
Yeah.
the weekend. But that goes with the territory, right? With every good, there are going to be some bad. But that sounds like a great platform.
Yeah.
Now that you've grown it to such a large community, are you using it to, network and build your real estate side of things?
Yeah, so yeah, like I told you before the podcast started, I am looking to build a subsidized living community in Indiana. Parts of Indiana has a lot of vacant space, a lot of vacant land, and I want to build a modular home community. I've been in communication with a lot of city officials. We're getting the ball rolling. We're getting everything together. So I do want to showcase on my platform the actual work that I do, because it's one thing to just talk about, your experiences and stuff in the past, but it's another thing to take your community along the journey with you. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to take the community along the journey with me of building this modular home community or communities, because I just don't want to stop at one. The community is going to consist of 10 homes each within the plot of land. And again, it's going to be subsidized living. That's how I want to start it off. But maybe it'll evolve into selling the homes, or renting them to regular consumers or something like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Um,
I love it. So,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, going from a cleaning business to some fix and flips, and then building subsidized housing community. I mean, obviously, that's it's a big progression. What has
thank you.
you so interested or passionate about wanting to build a subsidized community?
So, I mean, being in real estate, our key goal is to create passive income or create generational wealth. So, I see myself creating passive income and generational wealth in the subsidized living space. Short-term rentals, that can be passive income too. I turned that from me actually hosting to me arbitraging the units, where I'm finding hosts to host those properties for me. So that's how I created passive income there. So that's me. I'm more or less the passive income guy. I'm trying to be as much hands off as possible. Operations is my passion. So uh, formulating the actual operation and letting it run itself and create its own income, that's more or less like what interests me. So real estate can offer me that, and that's the space that I want to be in.
All right, I love it. Great answer. Now, are you still doing the cleaning business as well?
So it evolves. So the cleaning business, with my short-term rentals, I actually offer that cleaning for my arbitrage host, because I have an arbitrage host that's in Wisconsin or in California. They
Sure.
might not ever come and see this turnkey property that I provided for them. So the next piece is I need someone to clean these units after the guest checks out. So of course, I still have my cleaning business. I do have people that I staff to go in to clean these properties after they're out. So yeah, I do.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And now, one of the other things we talked about is that you've written a children's book. So you're a published author as well. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about that?
Yeah, so my thing again is about creating passive income. I came from a household that we didn't get taught about saving money. We didn't get taught about putting money away or aside for a bigger for our futures to invest in real estate or in stocks or whatever it is that you want to invest in. It's kind of like I was raised in a household where it's like check to check. So this check we're paying this, that check we're paying this. It's not about like let's save away for our future. So I created a children's book. I would say it's called Sophia Saves. It's kind of loosely based off of my life. I am in a same-sex marriage, so it's me, my husband, and our daughter. Um, so we teach her all the time how to save her money. So I just wrote a book, something that I can give to her. So my passion, I wouldn't say my passion, my the direction in writing the book was writing it for her.
Okay.
Because I'm teaching her in the in the sense of, you wanted this bike, let's save away for it. You get your monthly allowance or your weekly allowance. Let's take a little part of that and let's put it away for something that you might want to enjoy, or uh, something for your future ultimately. So I created this book for that. Um, so yeah, Sophia Saves, that's me.
Sophia Sage. All right, great. We're gonna put. Do you have like an Amazon link for that where people can order it
Yeah,
from
so
your
I do
website?
have an Amazon link for it, so you
All
guys
right.
can buy that book on Amazon.
What we'll do is we'll put that in the show notes. I love the thought behind that. As a parent myself of 5 kids, my wife and I, grew up very, modestly
Yeah,
lower, middle class at best for her, and then even worse for me. But it was paycheck to paycheck, and
yeah,
a lot of it is just people don't really understand. We don't learn like saving. We live in a world of overconsumption and overspending. We don't
yeah,
learn how to make money. So there's like all these things that we don't get taught. But as you
yeah,
start to grow into the investment world, you start to expand your knowledge of this stuff, and they don't teach it in school. So the fact that you're writing books or educate children on that's amazing, right? Because we read books
yeah,
to educate ourselves, and we try to share that with our children, but to make it a little bit more um, fun for a child to learn about it rather than just hearing it from mom and dad, or dad and dad, or mom
yeah.
and mom again, right? So
Hmm.
it's great. So I love that you're doing that. And you said you plan on writing some more books in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been through a lot, in my life with businesses and them failing, them being successful. So I definitely want to speak on that. Um, Hopefully in the near future, but right now I definitely want to get this modular home community built. Kind of focus on that a little bit. But I do have a lot more that I would want to teach to children, to young adults, to adults too, because there's a lot of little things that we miss in business that could make the business fail or topple over. And when you grow, you learn and you understand the things that you miss, like having a lawyer or having insurance, or all these little things, and it could just be the death of your business.
It
So
sure
I
can.
definitely want to talk a lot about failed businesses, my journey into real estate, passive income, wealth. Um, yeah.
Okay, I love that. And so for building the subsidized housing community, obviously you're going to need to be bringing in private lenders. We always need to use other people's money to make things
Yeah.
happen, and those people's money that we use, we give them great returns. So
Yeah.
I would mention to anybody that is listening to this podcast today that has any interest. We'll put Robert's contact information. We'll have him share it here at the end of this episode as well. But if you are looking for some opportunities to invest your money and get great returns, I highly recommend you reach out to Robert. And obviously, listen, affordable housing is the thing that this country needs more than anything. And he's,
Yeah.
seems like he's going to be building quite a bit of communities in the Midwest, which is another area where you can still get affordable housing outside the East Coast where I live, where it's not, it's a thing of long ago. Um,
Yeah.
Robert, I'd like to ask you some questions before we wrap up this podcast and just kind of get
Sure.
a feel from somebody who has 9 years of experience in this business. Now, for somebody who is like brand new, who's thinking about, thinking of you like 9 years ago, right? I want to get into real estate investing, but I'm not really sure what to do, how to go about it. Is it even right for me? I see all the stuff on Bigger Pockets on TV, and I hear these podcasts, but I'm afraid to pull the trigger and take the plunge. Do you have any words of wisdom for somebody like that?
Yeah. I would just say educate yourself. Everybody's journey into real estate is different. And that's the grand scam, or the grand scheme of everything. Like, my journey into real estate might not be your journey into real estate. So the way that I want to come into real estate might not be the same as yours. So study what it is that you're passionate about, whether it is short-term rental, fix and flip, wholesale, buy and holds. Some people like the long game, some people like the short game. So what is it that you like? What is it that interests you the most? And study just that. There's so many different avenues that can get you into real estate. estate. But just knowing and honing into what it is that interests you would be the best way to go.
Great piece of advice. I love that. With a journey of 9 years, you've already done quite a bit of things. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned personally during your journey?
Hire a lawyer.
That's a good one.
Hire a lawyer.
I can imagine the only reason the story behind it, but yes, hire a good attorney is always a good
Hire a
idea.
good lawyer. Yeah, because real estate is contractual.
Right.
Business is really contractual.
Correct.
But if you don't understand the contract that's being put in front of you, whether you're the landlord giving the contract to the tenant, whether you're the short-term rental host giving the contract to the guest that's staying, whether you're wholesaling a property, whether you're doing a fix and flip and you need to have hard money loans, it's all contractual. So having a good lawyer in this space is a really key point. And a lawyer that knows how to break it down in the terms where you can understand it is very important, because everybody's skill level. We have multimillionaires in this industry that never stepped foot on a college campus. We have multimillionaires in this industry that never graduated high school. So I'm not saying that they can't comprehend the same way, but being a lawyer that can help you to comprehend on the level that you can, so that you can understand your contracts, is important. So yeah, having a good
I
lawyer.
think that's great advice. And, as somebody who didn't graduate high school, when my attorney talks to me, I'm like, can you just put it in crayon level? Dumb it down for me, make sure I understand it. Unfortunately, when it comes to, attorneys, I think that's often overlooked in this business and industry. And I'm glad that you bring it up until it's too late, right? You really need to have an attorney that is a part of your team, because you will need an attorney at some point. It's inevitable.
Definitely.
So that's great advice. All right. One more question before we ask all about you so people can connect with you.
Okay.
We call the show REI Freedom. My wife and I are passionate about building freedom through real estate investing, hence the name REI Freedom. But freedom looks like a lot of different things for different people, right? Some people want to live on a yacht. Some people want to travel the world. Some people want an abundance of time like my wife and I do. We're lifestyle investors. Some people just want to make bank and they'll work 100 hours through real estate, but they just want to make all the money that it can produce. What does REI Freedom mean for you, my friend?
Having REI Freedom to me means having wealth for generations to come. Not only living in abundance now for me, but my child to be able to live in abundance, and my kids' kids to be able to live in abundance. That is what REI Freedom is to me. And that's what real estate can offer. Real estate is a long game. And if you have the right lawyer that can position your real estate the correct way as well, it can go down from generation to generation. So yeah, that's what that means.
I love that. Just like the book I just finished reading, like the Rockefellers did. I love
Yep.
that. So, Robert, how do we follow you on all these social media platforms? Can you tell us how they are?
Yeah. So my Instagram is officially _RMM. RMM just stands for my name, Robert McKinney McGee. I'm on TikTok. My TikTok is, I'm sorry, I'm pulling it up just so I can make sure. It's officially RMM, no underscore. On Facebook, I'm Robert McGee. And on YouTube, I'm officially RMM.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing all that. So listeners, if you guys have any interest in connecting with him, or you want to invest some money in some of his projects going, or just collaborate with somebody who's obviously built a huge social media platform and has 9 years of experience. And, I highly recommend that you reach out. You're talking about somebody who has, listen, you don't make it 9 years in this industry without doing the right things. We make mistakes, but to survive that long, is pretty impressive. So Robert, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too.
What a great guest to have on our episode this week. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the REI Freedom Podcast. Stay tuned to next week. We've got another great episode coming up, and look forward to seeing you then. Until then, guys, continuously work by taking massive and perfect action to build your life through real estate investing so you can have as much freedom as you choose. See you next week.
Yes.
All right, let this thing upload and we should be good to go. That was a good episode, man. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate this too.
You're
I
like
really do.
you're
When
like
do you think it'll post?